All right, hello everyone. Welcome again to the Targum Sports Podcast, keeping score with Josh and Ray. We're gonna do for the rest of the semester. We're gonna do it in a Skype call format because obviously we're all quarantined in our homes now, and we felt that this is the best way to kind of continue the podcast. So we're just gonna jump right into it. Ray, I wanted to talk about kind of our experience with the Big Ten tournament a few weeks ago. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was strange. It was just strange and surreal. I mean, we fly out to Indianapolis, and a couple hours after we get to our hotel, the news comes out that Rudy Gobert on the Jazz, he's got the coronavirus. And it's like, all right, this is pretty crazy because that's a very prominent player, in the NBA. But, after the NBA does their whole thing with the suspension of the season, the next day we wake up. There's no mention of anything from the Big Ten commissioner yet about the cancellation of the tournament. So we head to the stadium, and we're just sitting there. We're the only ones in the stadium, obviously except for the other staff and players. And 15 minutes before tip-off, they canceled the tournament. So it was very eerie. They pulled everyone off the court, and it was a very weird situation.
Yeah, it was already weird. It was already weird because there was no fans there, which is something I never experienced. Like this sporting event with no fans, like what's that?
That's
But
strange.
yeah, and the thing is like the night before, the night we got there, we the news with Gobert, and then the NBA suspended its season, and we're like, okay, like this probably means that the NCAA is going to take action at some point. So we thought it would be the next morning when we woke up. Because it wasn't just Gobert, it was like Tom Hanks, and then
Yep.
and then also the head coach of I think it was Nebraska. The head coach of the Nebraska basketball team literally got sent to the hospital at like the middle of the game, the night that Wednesday night, the first day of the tournament. And everyone thought he had corona, but he actually didn't, thankfully. But it was just a really unsettling time. I remember watching those first round games in the hotel room. It was Nebraska versus Indiana, and then Minnesota versus Northwestern. And then I was like, "Yo, this is like the last time we're gonna see fans at the basketball game for like a long time," because we knew that the fans were gonna not be allowed to go anymore. And then we wake up next morning, no news. We're like, "Cool, let's go to Baker's Life Fieldhouse." So we go, and then we're sitting there watching them in the layup line warming up. Then 10 minutes late before the game, they get called back to the locker room. We're like, "What's going on?" Then the email comes out, tournament canceled. We're like, "Oh my god!" Like, and then the press conference, the Big Ten commissioner Kevin Warren held a press conference after to explain it. He was like, had to sit and meditate on this decision, and I came to the conclusion that it was best to cancel for the safety, et cetera, et cetera. And that was, yeah, that's like the right decision probably, but I mean, we could have had that a little bit earlier. No matter how you slice it, it was not the right. I mean, because here's the thing, like I know these big people in prominent positions have a lot of pressure in these situations. It's fine, but that is part of your job, so we got to have some accountability here. I mean,
Yeah, 10 minutes before,
that's
you
just not.
know,
I mean, I remember. I don't know if you remember this, but I remember hearing a staff guy in front of us was like, "I had a one-way flight ticket
yeah,
here." Like, do you remember that?
yep,
There's so many people that their whole plans got ruined just because the higher ups took too long to decide the obvious decision.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Like you said, it was an obvious decision. It was the right call. But I mean, to hear about it 10 minutes before tip off, when everyone made their flights to come out here, made hotel reservations, put all these deposits down, and no, we're just gonna cancel the whole thing. You know,
yeah. So
so
then the day after we flew to Indiana, we fly back to New Jersey. And then, in the airport, we read the news that, NCAA cancels the March Madness, all sports are canceled, you know, uh, and yeah, that was just a whole downpour of, just terrible news. Uh, and, part of that was Rutgers sports being canceled, obviously. So that kind of brings us to the next topic of of record sports in general. How are they going to respond from be able to rebound from this? Well, we do know that the spring seniors, like the baseball seniors, the lacrosse seniors, they're going to get another year, right? As far as we know.
As far as we know, it's probably going to happen. As far as we
know at this point, but for the winter sports like basketball or wrestling, we're not sure. We just had an interview with Pat Hobbs. He said he didn't know. Pat Hobbs is the Rutgers athletic director. He said he wasn't sure yet, and it sucks because for wrestling, we had a few different guys qualified for the tournament. Now they're not going to be able to go. Same with obviously the basketball team was on its way to qualifying for the first time in 29 years. Now graduate student Akwazi Yaboa, the senior center Shaq Carter, and then Joey Downs also. All three of those guys are probably going to have to graduate without experiencing the tournament berth that they earned. So
yeah, it's heartbreaking, I think, for the athletes, because especially on the men's basketball team. I mean, you have a guy like Joey Downs. He was here since Pikel was first hired, and he's been through this team, the rebuild, and now they're finally going to make it to the NCAA tournament, which they were. That's a fact. Mm-hmm. They were going to make it, and it's heartbreaking to see it just kind of end like that for them.
Yeah, I mean, I remember being on the plane, reading all the Instagram posts that the players did. It was just so heartbreaking. I remember Joey posted on their whiteboard, they said we're going dancing or something, and we did this it was our mission since the beginning, all this stuff. It was so sad to see how that ended. But I would like to see those guys get another year. If I had to guess, probably not, just because it's a little bit more complicated since the season hadn't was already the whole regular season was already completed. But and then there's also the other thing of they might have other commitments lined up and all this stuff. But I would say just give them the option maybe, and then possibly give them kind of a salary, as if kind of like an entry-level job, for example. If they had a different job offer, but they want to play instead, give them a salary, so it's more incentive to stay. That's just an idea that I have. I don't know what your thoughts on that are.
I mean, honestly, I think that's kind of a good idea, actually. But it is going to be a challenge, though. Regardless of the fact that the regular season was completed. A couple of these athletes probably did have post-playing careers at least partially lined up. I think Hobbs talked about how some of them might have jobs, or even some of them might be looking at graduate school. So I think if you give them the option of coming back, then I think that's a better decision than just flat out saying, no, you're basically screwed out of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then it's the whole thing also, for example, with basketball, with how for players that are that are on the NBA's radar, then there's the whole probably draft being postponed and all this stuff. For example, Michigan State has their point guard Cassius Winston, who's an NBA level talent. He obviously is gonna rather go to the NBA than stay another year, but he got kind of he missed his last opportunity to get this last tournament as a senior, to say his goodbye to the fans, and then now it just has to end abruptly like that. It sucks for those people too. But yeah, we'll see how the NCAA goes about it. They have a history of making unpopular decisions, so I hope that doesn't continue, but I can only hope for the best.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, who knows? When you look at the other actual professional sports around the country, it's really just who knows what's going to happen next. The NBA, their season's suspended. NHL, all major sports are basically suspended. So at this point, it's just a matter of, all right, when are they going to resume? And are some of these seasons even going to resume? Because, NBA and NHL, they were already past the halfway point.
Mhm.
So it's going to be interesting to see when they're actually going to decide to pick it up.
Yeah. Honestly, the only league that like is kind of okay right now about it is the NFL because they're already in the off season. They're still making their off season moves. You got Tom Brady going to Tampa Bay, a bunch of big news like that. But every other league has been hit hard. I mean, the MLB is delaying. The NBA is still trying to figure out if they're gonna continue later or not. Um, NHL, like you said. So it's just it's tough all around, just not just college, but pros and all sports. Because the fact is, it's just not safe right now to have any sporting events. So we're just gonna have to live with NFL offseason news right now, um, for the time being until this all blows over.
I
So
mean, it has been interesting so far, though. You got Brady going to the Bucks, so it's a
yeah,
plus.
I mean, it's gonna be fun to see Tom and another team. I mean, that is ridiculous. After like
Dude,
years,
that's weird.
it's gonna be so strange seeing him trot out in a Tampa Bay Buccaneers uniform in September.
Yeah, that's just strange, man. What do
I
you
mean,
what do you think about the Bucks going forward this season?
they've always had. Sorry, they've always had good offensive players. Like they have Mike Evans, they have Chris Godwin, they have the running back Ronald Jones. They have a bunch of guys there. They used to have Deshaun Jackson, but I think he left. But
Yeah, he's with
um,
the Eagles now.
yeah, he went. That's right, he went back to the Eagles. Um, but yeah, I mean, the thing is that Winston is not a bad quarterback. It's just that he turns the ball over so much that it makes it hard to win. Um, so I think Tom is definitely an upgrade. I don't think Tom is what he was, before, but he's still a solid player. And I think he'll definitely have them as a playoff team. I don't think they're gonna like win Super Bowl because I don't really that their defense isn't like that great. Um, they'll be fun to watch, but it's kind of like Michael Jordan going to the Wizards. Like I don't think he'll like necessarily take them to the promised land, but it'll be just a fun team to watch. Um, so yeah,
Yeah,
I would say
Tom Brady, like you said, he's a solid player right now. Obviously, probably the greatest player of all time in the NFL.
right.
He's not at that level that he was, though.
Yeah, this is not 2007 undefeated Randy Moss, Tom Brady. Uh,
Yeah.
it's not.
So, I mean, can he carry them a good distance? Yes. But
Mhm.
he's not going to have that same effect that he had on the Patriots, in years past.
You have to keep in mind that he's 43 years old. I mean, the fact that he's still around is already incredible.
Dude.
Um, you know, but yeah, I mean, I'm definitely glad to see him leave the Pats because as a Jets fan, he's terrorized my team for forever. So it's gonna be great to not have to play him twice a year. Um, it gets sad just watching him tear us up, tear us apart.
Yeah, I mean, the AFC East, that's kind of open right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was reading that the Bills are favorites right now since they were like a playoff team last year.
Right.
Uh, you know, but honestly, every team has kind of a fighting chance right now. It's gonna be kind of cool, just because the division has been owned by the Patriots for like the whole, like since
Since I've
Tom
been
Brady,
alive, bro. Ever since I've been alive.
for the past like 18 years. So, um, it's gonna be cool to see it as a wide open division. Um, I definitely think the Pats are still gonna be like a solid team, just not obviously with Brady. You're
They're
gonna
not gonna
be a little
they're
bit of
not gonna win it all.
yeah, they're not. But it's also gonna be cool to see Brady play Drew Brees twice a year
Yeah.
in the Saints. That's gonna be great. They're both kind of old now, but they're still solid.
It's still Drew Brees
Yeah,
against Tom Brady.
I remember watching Brady versus Peyton Manning back in the day. Like that was always like a big matchup. A great like two masters going at it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
It's gonna be interesting to see. And even in the other leagues, MLB I think was gonna also have a very interesting season on its hands. With the whole Astros fallout and with Garrett Cole going to the Yankees, I think it's gonna be really there's going to be some really interesting matchups going on. But
Yeah, I
where
think
do you stand now?
the thing is like with the Yankees, as a Yankee fan, I've had to deal with having terrible starting pitching in the last few years. It really boils my blood. But um, now that we got like the best one, because Garrett is like so phenomenal. Um, yeah, that's really exciting. Because I remember in the playoffs having to use the bullpen over and over. It was just like, what is going on? Why can't
It
we get a starting pitcher?
it wasn't even like you guys like that was a choice. I mean, like that wasn't even a choice for you guys because you had no starting pitching. You had to go to the bullpen because you had no other choice.
Like Sabathia is over the hill. Tanaka is like kind of up and down. Like it's just the whole mess. And then of course, in the with the series with the Astros last year, we have Aroldis Chapman in Game 6. Like, okay, he's like a power pitcher, closer, boom, boom. He's gonna shut him down. No, Altuve hits a walk-off home run, and that's it. We lose.
That's
And then
deadly.
it's like even the pitchers that are supposed to be good aren't showing up. So it's like we just need some pitchers, bro. We have enough hitters. Let's just make this a complete team and play some Yankees ball.
And look what happened.
And then we got our guy. So I mean, he's only one man, so hopefully he can help out as much as he can. But yeah, that the Astro scandal, that's a whole thing. I mean, I think the coronavirus is kind of taken attention away from that, but it is worth mentioning how despicable the Astros are. I mean, especially the fact that we lost to them makes me mad.
Right.
Because they were probably cheating in that series.
In 2017.
That will end last year.
I think it was mentioned though. They didn't. I don't know if they completed the investigation for 2019 yet. But
okay.
I mean, even in 2017 though, they knocked you guys out
both times. Yeah. So they have a history of beating us recently, and it's always weird because they used to be a National League team. I'm like, why did they switch? It's weird. Get out of here.
Yeah, for real.
But
And they're a good team though. Like they didn't need to cheat.
That's the thing. It's like you have these all-stars. It's like the Golden State Warriors cheating, Like it's like why? Like
there's no need.
Like you have Altuve, Alex Bregman, Justin Verlander, Cole. I mean, all these like world-class players. It's like imagine if like Kevin Durant had got caught like recording the other team or something. Like, bro, you're Kevin Durant. Why do you're better than everybody already?
Like stop. Literally just go out on the field, play, and you're going to win. It's just not necessary.
Yeah. I think the Astros are gonna fall off. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know where I stand with them because they're still a good team. They don't have Garrett Cole anymore.
That's obviously true. Also, you have to consider like the psychological impact it's gonna have on them, like this whole ordeal.
Yeah, well, they don't. I mean, basically the whole country except for the city of Houston is going to be against them.
Right. It's a lot, and this whole saga, this whole scandal stuff. It's a lot. It weighs on you. These guys are human beings, so.
That's true. They are human beings. That's something you got to remember through all this. These athletes are human beings.
They're gonna, they read what's going on the internet. It always cracks me up though about the Astros manager being like, "Oh, I passive aggressively turned off the TV." Nah. Like,
I think he said that he tried to show his disapproval by either unplugging the TV in the clubhouse or damaging it.
That's so dumb.
You're a manager. Your job is to manage your players. Talk to them.
He clearly was on board with it. Like, yeah, come on, bro. Oh, I tried to turn off the TV. Get out of here.
Stop.
Come on, man.
That's almost as bad as Alex Bregman said. I think he said in one of his interviews, we are human beings and human beings make mistakes.
That's not a mistake. You're cheating. You purposely cheated. You're just being immoral and wrong. That's what you are. It's not a mistake. Like a mistake is like driving ahead of the speed limit,
Right.
Like, a mistake is not literally cheating the entire league out of a championship. It's so dumb.
Yeah. But when the league kicks back up, we'll see what happens. Because
It's gonna be nice to get a fresh start, away from that.
absolutely.
So yeah, hopefully baseball will return.
Yeah, and the NBA, NHL, those will return. It's not like the world is ending, even though it seems like it when sports go off the grid. Um, but you know what? Once they return, it really is just going to be a fresh of breath air. I mean, I'm sorry, excuse me, a breath of fresh air. When they do return. But until then, we just got to keep just, I guess, self quarantine, staying inside, listening to this podcast.
Yeah, I've been watching some old highlights. That's been getting me through the day. I don't watch too many highlights because it gets sad, but watch some here and there.
Yeah, and just keep updated on NFL news because that's interesting. That will get you through this.
You know what? Honestly, the NFL offseason has been really helpful for me emotionally right now, more than it's ever been.
Absolutely.
Speaking of the NFL, the DeAndre Hopkins trade. Did you see that?
I didn't get a chance to look into that. No.
Okay, so the Texans traded DeAndre Hopkins to the Cardinals for like a second-round pick. You know what? I'll bring up the exact terms right now. It was a terrible trade for the Texans, and everyone roasted them for it.
Really?
And DeAndre Hopkins is one of the best receivers in the league. It's so weird. I feel like the virus is just making everyone like crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there were rumors that he didn't get along with Bill O'Brien, the head coach, but he was like, no, it's not true. It was a whole mess, man. Let me see. DeAndre Hopkins trade. So, oh yeah. So Arizona traded a second-round pick, and they gave Houston running back David Johnson. Now, David Johnson used to be elite, but he has not been elite for a couple of years because of injuries, and he's getting old for a running back. So the Texans are getting a kind of past his prime running back and a second-round pick for like a top 3-5 receiver.
That's terrible.
What is that?
That's bad.
What is that?
That's bad.
I'm not a GM, and I know that's terrible. Like, what are you doing?
I honestly, I don't know how they make these trades sometimes. Like, how do you look at that trade and say, that's going to be a worthy investment for us?
DeAndre Hopkins can literally carry the offense, like if he feels like it. Like he can get like 200 receiving yards in the game. He can do that. It's like him, Julio Jones, like AJ Green when he's healthy, and like a couple other dudes that could do that. You can't give that up. I don't know what you're thinking. And it's like the Texans offense already has a bad offensive line. Now you're just making Deshaun Watson he has Will Fuller, and then who else? Like he has nothing. You're just sending him out there with nothing. Like give your quarterback something to work with, man.
That's bad, man.
I want Deshaun to go to another team. He deserves a better team than that.
Yeah.
We're just totally crapping on Houston sports today.
I mean, but they've done it to themselves. They've absolutely done it to themselves.
Not only did the Astros cheat, the Texans made a terrible, terrible trade. Awful.
That city's sports should be ashamed of themselves.
But then on the other hand, you got the Cardinals now. They get DeAndre Hopkins. Already they had Larry Fitzgerald. He's old, but he's still good. And then you got Kyler Murray, second-year quarterback now. He did pretty well last year. So they're a team on the rise.
I think Murray's definitely a quarterback that I think is going to improve a lot.
It's funny because he kind of, I don't know if you remember the whole Baker Mayfield debate about he was too short. He was actually even shorter than Baker, and he came out of the same school, Oklahoma. So Kyler also had similar questions about him in the draft, but I think now with Baker and Kyler, it kind of shows that like you can be like 5'10" and be a quarterback in the NFL. If you're good, you're good. You just gotta drop back far to see over the offensive line. That's all.
Yeah,
but
that's basically it.
Kyler's a great athlete. I mean, he got drafted to the MLB too, so he's a multi-sport guy.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
It's very interesting when athletes come up like that who are just so talented, so athletically gifted, that you can not only be drafted in the NFL but also the MLB. I mean, how often does that happen?
I remember on SportsCenter they were talking about that he should play baseball instead because he's too small for the NFL. He might get hurt and stuff, and he might make more money in baseball. but he obviously preferred football. So, and I think last year, even though the Cardinals weren't a good team last year, he still proved people wrong just because he was doing well for a rookie. He's incredibly fast. He's got zip on his throws. So, yeah, he's fun to watch.
I mean, you got to go where your heart takes you. You know.
Yeah, I think the NFL and the NBA too are kind of having nice, kind of like generational switches now, like with Zion, taking over.
Right.
You got Giannis too in the NBA. Then in the NFL, you got all these new young quarterbacks like Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes, of course. Kyler Murray is another one of those. Even like Josh Allen on the Bills, he was doing okay last year.
Yeah, he's all right.
He has accuracy issues, but he's fun to watch. A whole bunch of guys. So yeah, and then there's other storylines like where's Cam Newton gonna go?
Yes. Did they released him, right?
They released him. Yeah, he's still a free agent, and it's weird because the Panthers traded away their other quarterback, Kyle Allen, to the Redskins. I saw also.
Right.
So I don't know why they got rid of both guys. I don't know what their end game is there.
They have the new head coach. I guess they're just trying to basically start fresh.
Yeah. It's just kind of strange because it's like, okay, Cam was hurt, but he's still good. And then this guy Kyle Allen, he had a good season last year, but now we're just gonna throw that away now. I guess they want to draft someone. So
yeah, I guess they want to go. They want to go to the draft. They want to look to the draft, and I guess just kind of build their organization up with what the new head coach envisions. With I think it's Ron Rivera, right? I mean, no, that's the Redskins. That's the Redskins. But
yeah.
I guess they just want to look to the draft and see what they can find.
Yeah, I mean, there's some good quarterbacks in the draft. Obviously, you got Joe Burrow out of LSU, but he's probably going to be the first pick just because he was I think the Bengals. I don't. Were you watching that national championship game with LSU and Clemson?
No, I wasn't watching that one.
He was ridiculous. I think he threw like 6 touchdowns or something.
Yeah,
like a million yards.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, before that season.
Wait, you just cut out. What did you say?
No, I'm saying it was really surprising because Joe Burrow didn't have a big college career before last year.
Right.
So, yeah. Then obviously you got Tua from Alabama, other people. So, yeah, we'll see. Honestly, the NFL is the most exciting thing to follow right now. So that's why I'm talking about it.
Yeah, man. Just honestly, just keep updated on it. Look at anything that could get you through this quarantine. Look at any sport and just use it to get yourself through it.
Yeah, so I think that's about all for today. You can join us, next week for the Keeping Score podcast. And thanks for listening. We'll see you later.